It starts quietly. No one notices. At first, you're 7 years old, staring into the eyes of a parent who's slowly falling apart. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's just the hollow silence of someone too broken to show up. And in that silence, something ancient clicks inside your small mind. If I don't hold everything together, no one will. That's how a child disappears. Not physically, but emotionally. They smile more. They cry less. They learn to read the room before they even know how to read a book. They become the emotional thermostat of the house, the little adult in a world too heavy for small shoulders, and the world praises them for it. You're so mature, you're so responsible, you're so strong, but no one ever asks, at what cost? This is the invisible grief of those who grew up too fast. And today, we're diving into the psychology of that child because those effects don't fade with age. They shape you. They follow you into your relationships, your work, and your sense of worth. And unless you understand what really happened, you'll spend your adult life repeating the same survival patterns that once protected you, but are now slowly destroying you. Let's start with what's really going on when a child has to emotionally support adults instead of being supported by them. Psychologists call this parentification when the roles reverse. The child becomes the caregiver, the peacekeeper, the therapist, the protector. And this doesn't just hurt, it rewires the brain. Because when a child is constantly responsible for emotional regulation, theirs or others, it creates hypervigilance, a state of constant alert. You start scanning for danger. You walk on eggshells. You learn that love is conditional, something you earn by keeping the peace. You learn that your needs are dangerous and theirs are urgent. So you disappear, not physically but emotionally. In your place grows a version of you that performs perfectly. The good child, the achiever, the therapist friend, the one who never asks for anything, and you wear that identity so convincingly that even you forget it's a mask. But deep down, something aches. Because the child you buried didn't die there, still in there, silently screaming, "Why didn't anyone protect me?" As you grow older, the symptoms change form. You might become hyper-independent, refusing help and pushing people away. You might never feel safe in love. You might feel numb during moments of joy because happiness feels unfamiliar, even dangerous. You might struggle to rest because productivity became your proof of worth. And worst of all, you may not even realize you're still in survival mode. When dysfunction becomes your normal, your nervous system starts to crave chaos. Stillness feels wrong. Peace feels suspicious. Love feels like a debt you'll eventually have to repay. This is what it means to grow up too fast. It's a nochesetnicitas complex trauma that reshapes how you see the world and yourself. So why does a child take on that role? Because children will do anything for attachment, even abandon themselves. It's not weakness, it's instinct. In the absence of safety, the child trades authenticity for belonging. That's not brokenness, that's survival intelligence. But here's the tragedy. What once saved you now imprisons you. So many of us are high-functioning adults with neglected inner children, pulling the strings. We overachieve to earn love. We stay silent to avoid rejection. We take care of everyone and secretly wish someone would ask, "Are you okay?" We fantasize that one day someone will see through the mask, realize we're not as strong as we pretend to be, and finally hold us. That longing isn't from your adult self. It's from the child who never got to be a child. The first step in healing isn't fixing, it's witnessing. Until you acknowledge what happened, you'll keep gaslighting yourself with thoughts like, "It wasn't that bad, others had it worse, or I turned out fine." But fine is a mask to, and deep down, it. So what happens to that child when they grow up? They become adults who never feel safe, even in calm rooms. Lovers who can't trust softness, givers who can't receive, people who apologize for crying, flinch at compliments, and mistake exhaustion for success. This is the cost of growing up too fast. If your childhood trained you to be strong instead of soft, silent instead of honest, a fixer instead of a feeler, then you inherit a life spent holding your breath, waiting for permission to finally fall apart. But here's the truth. No one's coming to rescue that child. You are the one who must go back and hold their hand. You are the one who must whisper what no one else ever said. Didn't he deserve that? You were just a child. You get to rest. Now, this is the beginning of shadow work. Not fixing, not pretending, not hiding behind positivity, but turning toward the parts of yourself you abandoned and saying, I see you. I hear you. I'm not leaving. That's real repair. And it's painful because it asks you to feel everything you never had time to feel, to mourn the birthdays no one celebrated, to grieve the innocence you lost, protecting people who should have protected you. But that grief isn't weakness, it's proof you're healing. Because what was once frozen is finally thawing. These survival patterns often hide in plain sight. You become the therapist in every friendship, but never open up. You're praised for independence when deep down, you're terrified of being a burden. You overfunction in relationships, fixing and managing everything, wondering why you're resentful. You struggle to say no because boundaries still feel like betrayal. But remember, these aren't your personality. They're coping mechanisms, learned, conditioned, and most importantly, healing begins the moment you stop worshiping your strengths and start honoring your wounds. Ask your inner child, what did I need back then that I never got? You, me, yeah. I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my fault. I needed someone to ask how I was doing. I needed to play, to rest, to laugh without fear. And slowly, you start giving those things to yourself, not to fix your past, but to stop reliving it. That's how you stop seeking parents in your partners. That's how you stop mistaking anxiety for intuition. That's how you stop running from who you were and who you're becoming. Carl Jung once said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. But shadow work demands that we face it, all of it. The neglected, the ashamed, the scared, the angry. Because healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. So if you're someone who grew up too fast, hear this. Your maturity was never the problem. The problem was that you had no choice. But now you do. You can choose softness. You can choose rest. You can stop managing everyone else's emotions and start honoring your own. And no, it won't happen overnight. Some days you'll feel like that child again. Good. That's the point. Let that child come home. Let them cry. Let them laugh. Let them be seen. Because you're not broken, you're becoming whole. And maybe for the first time, you're finally growing up the right way. Not through fear, not through pressure, but through truth. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. And this, Chimi, you get to write it. Thank you for being here and holding space for this conversation. If this resonated, please consider subscribing. It helps more than,